In a world where we lack more and more respect for the past, we choose to rewrite, butcher, and insert our own self-centered, modern narcissism in every piece of art. The artist that spent years or even decades of their lives with the most innocent of intentions to create a piece of art, entertainment, or fun for their audiences have been slandered, ignored, or flat out blacklisted, all in order to assert how dated the world they grew up in was. A good book or a good movie isn't art, they tell us. It isn't supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to represent the world we live in today. It's supposed to teach you what's wrong with you and what causes you should support. All of these things are being seen more and more in adaptations, reboots, and plain original cinema today. Unfaithful, bad-intended, agenda-driven hijackings of the works of far more talented men and women. In a simpler time, Peter Jackson was given the opportunity of a lifetime to adapt the most influential fantasy series of all time, The Lord of the Rings. Finally, now was Peter's time to be an auteur, to be a profound leader for social change. Except he didn't do any of those things. Peter didn't inject his politics into Tolkien's work. He didn't belittle characters he didn't like. He didn't insert himself into the work of a man born nearly a century before him, who poured his heart into his work over many decades. Peter Jackson made the most faithful adaptation ever made, respecting the world, the story, and the feel of Middle-earth, only inserting his talent to bring that story and world to the screen in the most perfect and beautiful way possible. In the following brief review, I'll explain the aspects of a faithful adaptation and why humility from the director, writer, or showrunner who is adapting material will gain them more recognition, more love, and more influence with fans, critics, and society than an arrogant, self-important creator that seeks to subvert the past. The hallmarks of a faithful adaptation are numerous, but can be distilled down to a single rule. A faithful adaptation will avoid allegory, whether personal, social, or political, to change the text in order to advance an agenda. Let's define allegory before we go on. The reason why this is sacred to making a faithful adaptation is because our literature, our movies, and our art are all gateways to the past, gateways to fictional worlds, and an escape from the trends and the mundanities of modern life. An emphasis on representing modernity in century-old classics kill the wonder, the magic, and the fantasy of all of it. If The Lord of the Rings isn't about universal themes, and instead is about racial, gender, and sexual equality, then why call it Lord of the Rings? Make your own story to teach these lessons. Don't stomp on the world of Tolkien to convince your fans of your politics. It's simple. If you've been chosen to adapt an ultra-popular, agreed on to be flawless text, don't change it for your own selfishness. However, if a text is flawed and unpopular at the start, then go ahead and improve it. Remove excess weight, clean up the script, do your best in good faith to make something the world will enjoy. And if people still reject your work, don't call them toxic, call them fans with high standards. Let's go now and briefly touch on how Peter Jackson adapted The Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson brought his love and passion for the world and combined it with his cinematic talent and genius to make The Fellowship of the Ring. Just as the literary world of Lord of the Rings, the film equivalent relies on world building heavily. Jackson gives us beautiful sets, cities, pungent colors, fantastic actors, magical music, and a synthesis of classic and modern filmmaking that makes The Fellowship of the Ring a cinematic masterpiece that is both believable and incredible at the same time, and perhaps is the most faithful adaptation ever made. While I could go on for more, nothing is a better teacher than success. So in the end, let's compare the results. Let's compare Lord of the Rings to Rings of Power. Which one is more loved by fans? Which is more loved by critics? Which one will have a bigger effect on our culture? Let's see.
You serious?
That's all I have for you today, but I'll have a new video soon because I'm with you to the end of the line.